Hey everybody, and welcome to another Power Rangers review here on my channel. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Tyrannosaurus Dinozord. This set is manufactured by Forever Clever and officially licensed by Hasbro. This set comes with 151 pieces and one minifigure, and I picked it up at the store Five Below for $5, so let's see if it's actually worth that price. And we're going to start things off by taking a look at the minifigure that's included in this set, which is the Red Ranger. And if you've watched any of my other Power Ranger reviews on my channel, then you probably know that I have mixed feelings about this figure. I do feel like the printing on the chest and helmet are relatively solid for what they are. And there is also some printing on the wrist, however I do wish it wrapped all the way around the minifigure's arm. And I do feel like that the hands of this minifigure do look a little rough around the edges. But I suppose for a set that is worth $5, I really don't think I could expect much more. However, I do think it would have been nice for there to be some sort of printing on the back or legs of this figure. But again, for a $5 set that I picked up at Five Below, I don't think I can really expect much more than what we get here. You are able to remove the helmet of the Red Ranger, and you can see that there's a plain minifigure head underneath. And if you look towards the top of the minifigure's head, you can see that there's a little bit of plastic hanging off, again just giving it a rough around the edge look. With the minifigure out of the way, we're ready to talk about the build for this set, which is the Tyrannosaurus Dinozord. This is my fourth Power Ranger set that I reviewed on my channel, and my opinion is going to remain largely the same. I'm really not the biggest fan of this guy. We're going to start by taking a look at the head of the Dinozord, which I think actually has a relatively solid design for being a very simple brick build set. This set doesn't come with any printed pieces, so all of the detail you see on the build are going to be stickers, which unfortunately the directions of this set don't tell you where to place the stickers, so it's up to you to figure out where they go. But if we take a look at the top of the head, you can also see that there's a couple of stickers for detail there as well. And then if we take a look towards the side, you can also see that there's some stickers there too. The jaw of this Dinozord is on a hinge, so you are able to move it up and down. And I will say that this part of the build is relatively stable. The torso of the Tyrannosaurus Rex Dinozord can also be rotated around, which I suppose is a rather nice inclusion to the build, and again, this part of the build feels relatively sturdy and I didn't feel like it was going to fall off. Taking a closer look at the torso, you can see that there are a couple of stickers there for detail that I think gives it some really nice color. And then if we take a look at the arms of the Dinozord, you can see that they are able to be lifted up and down. However, for my build in particular, the left arm doesn't like to stay up. You can see here that I'm going to raise up the right arm and it is going to stay in place. But then as we move back to the left side, you see it's just going to fall right back down. This is rather disappointing but unsurprising when it comes to these sets. And if we take a look towards the back of the build, you can see that there is a small space I assume that you're meant to put the Red Ranger into. But with all that out of the way, we're now going to move down to the tail of the build, which has two different hinges to give the tail a little bit of articulation. And you do have to be relatively careful when you're articulating the tail. You have to grab the pieces that actually make up the hinge, because as you see here, if I grab it and start to move it up and down without holding onto that piece, it's going to fall off. Now we're going to move down to the legs of the build, and you can see that there is a sticker on the hip just to give it a little bit of extra detail. And as we turn it around to the other side, you can find that exact same sticker here too. Now as far as articulation goes, I do find that the legs are a little bit of a more fragile part of the build. With the way that the pieces are connected together, you are able to get some articulation in the knee as well as the hip, which I suppose is a nice inclusion, but with how fragile of a build this is, you're not really going to be getting this thing into any complicated poses. Especially when it comes down to the feet here, they are very fragile and they also have a really awkward build to them. As I'm rotating the foot along here, I'm being very careful. And then as I continue to mess with the set, you can see that it is going to eventually pop off. And I don't find this to be surprising at all because every Power Ranger set I've reviewed by Forever Clever is a very fragile build. Again, you can see here I'm going to start articulating the leg and I am going to be a little bit more rough with it, and you can see that the toe ended up popping off. And I understand what they were trying to do when they gave this set some articulation to make it fun for kids, but for me personally, I think I would have rather preferred a stationary build that is a lot more stable than what we currently get. And like I said, even with this articulation, you're not going to be getting this thing into any cool poses. Another thing that I want to mention is if we take a look towards the front of the box, you can see that the set is depicted having gray pieces, but they are nowhere to be found. This set is red and white. I picked up the Lego Tyrannosaurus Rex Dinozord for $5 at the store Five Below. And to no one's surprise, I'm not going to be recommending this set. If you do go to Five Below, there are some sets that are worth $5 that I do feel like are a little bit higher quality than what we're getting here. And I do find it rather disappointing that an awesome franchise like the Power Rangers are getting such mediocre sets. But I do want to thank you so much for watching my review, and I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any brick build reviews in the future.